You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Chris.
Hey, everybody. Jeff.
Woohoo!
Jeff, Chris.
Yes.
Welcome to The Bible Guys. And we are, of course, Jeff and Chris. And we just want to say thank you for tuning in. If this is your very first time, we have 593 other episodes in our archive that you can go back and listen to.
Wow. 593.
We're about to hit 600
We're about
episodes.
to 600.
Isn't that
It's next
crazy?
week.
Yes.
Next Friday.
Yes.
It needs to be a wild party next
Dun,
Friday.
dun, dun, dun. Woo!
Ooh, yeah.
It'd be wild and crazy here, up in here.
At the Bible Guys podcast.
Hey, I'm going to bring wild cherry lifesavers. Because that's how wild we are.
Yeah, that's right. That's crazy. You might chew some bubble gum.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay.
All right.
So, Chris, I have a big one for you today.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows, our longtime listeners know you're a big movie buff.
Have we ever done this segment?
No, this is a new segment.
This is a new segment.
But everybody knows you're a big movie buff.
I am a big movie buff.
Yeah, see, Chris lives for movies. It's
I don't
his main
live for
purpose in
movies. I live
life.
for Jesus, Jeff.
Oh, yes. That's what I meant to say. What did I say?
I live for Bible movies.
Yeah.
Which is not true at all.
So for today's segment, I'm
Bible
going to
movies
read
are
off
usually the
songs.
worst.
I'm going to read off song titles,
Okay.
and you need to say which movie it's from as fast as you can.
Okay.
And I have 11 of them. I'm not sure why we have 11.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
But, so it's very
11.
quick.
I thought you were going to say 5.
No, it's very fast.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm going to read the title.
These must be easy then.
A Whole New World.
A Whole New World. Don't You Dare. Aladdin.
Aladdin.
Holy
There you
cow.
go.
I can't believe it took me that long to get Aladdin.
There you go. Okay, ready? Here
Yes.
you go. Ever After.
Enchanted.
I would have never known that.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That's
Okay.
That's
When You Wish Upon a Star.
Pinocchio.
Oh, Under the Sea.
Little Mermaid.
Once Upon a Dream.
I Know You. Sleeping Beauty.
Portobello Road.
Portobello Road.
Ooh, I know. This is a movie, not a
I have no idea.
Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Oh, I saw Bed Knobs and Broomsticks in the 70s.
Yeah. Okay.
Matter of fact, hey, by the way, side note, the charm of making at the end of Bed Knobs and Broomsticks when all those the knights come to life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I still remember the spell. Triguna Macoites Trigorum Satis D.
Okay, great. I hope you didn't just say something evil to me.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Substitutionary locomotion. So I know that song.
Okay, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks is where it's
Yes.
from. Yes. Okay. Here's ready. So
Yes.
that was number 6. This is number 7.
Yep.
Colors of the Wind.
Pocahontas.
I would have never known that. You'll Be in My Heart.
You'll be in my heart.
Yes.
You'll be in my heart. I have no idea.
Tarzan.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
But to be fair, though, that really never hit. That was an Elton John song, right?
Yeah, I don't
You'll
know.
be in my heart.
I don't know.
No, it's a Phil Collins. Phil Collins sang that.
Okay, I don't know.
It did never really
It
hit.
was in Tarzan.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Elton John was the Lion King. Go ahead.
Reflection.
Reflect. Mulan.
A dream is a wish your heart makes.
A dream is a wish your heart makes. Cinderella.
Cinderella, that's right. Someday my prince will come.
Someday. Snow White.
Snow
Seven
White and the
Dwarfs.
7 Dwarfs, that's right. God help the outcasts.
God help the outcasts.
Yes. Now I would have
I have
known
no
known
idea.
this one. I would have known this one.
What?
Yeah.
You would have known this one?
Yes.
God help the outcast. Sounds like the Island of Misfit Toys. I have no idea.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah. I never liked that one.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen that twice.
Oh, okay. And then Why Should I Worry?
Why should I worry?
Yeah.
Why? I have no idea.
Oliver and Company.
Oh, yeah. I've only seen that once.
There you go. Okay. So you got 8 out of 11.
All right.
That's impressive, Chris.
There you go.
There you go. So we're going to give you 10,000 points apiece
Nice.
for the ones that you got.
Nice.
So you got 80,000 points.
Woo-hoo.
And for the if we had any of our listeners that got the ones that you missed, we're going to give them 100,000 points apiece.
And if you trade all that in at a Chuck E. Cheese store, that'll buy me a Fruit Loop.
Nothing. It'll get you nothing is what I get you. So congratulations.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
I'm delighted by the fact that she chose all Disney songs.
Oh, they were all Disney.
Yeah, it's all Disney.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is right up your alley.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
That's-
Well, we watch Disney. Although Bed Knobs and Broomsticks was a stretch. And Portobello Road, I still have no idea what that means. That sounds like an opening song or something right?
Portobello is a mushroom.
I know it is.
And roads are vehicles or places where you travel on.
Why are you going?
Well, you said you don't know what Portobello Road means.
I'm saying it's obviously the name of a road.
Oh, yes.
Right? Yeah. And so it sounds like an opening song or something.
Oh, it must be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which, who the heck? That's not famous. Why would you choose that song?
Because.
She had to Google something.
Yeah.
Right?
Google sent it.
Yeah, Google
sent it to her. Okay, well, hey, there you go. Thank you so much, Desiree, for putting Chris in his place.
Right. Hey, I think 8 out of 11 isn't bad.
It's beyond impressive. I only knew like 3 of them. So
really,
yeah, I would have known. I would have known Under the Sea.
I could. By the way, I could sing everyone that I knew.
Yeah, I would have known Under the Sea, and I would have known When You Wish Upon a Star, and I would have known God Help the Outcasts. I wouldn't known any of the others.
You would have known God Help the Outcasts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
How's it go?
I'm not going to sing it.
Just give me the chorus.
I'm not going to sing it.
Why?
I would have known the title. I don't know the words, but okay. I would have known the title. And the reason is I commented on it when we were at Notre Dame here just recently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you actually went to the Notre Dame.
So
by the way, is it restored? Was it after?
Yeah, they just reopened it. Yeah. I haven't gone in yet. We were there the day before they reopened.
Oh no!
That's how my life works, by the way.
Gee whiz.
So I've been in Paris probably 10 times in the last 2 years. Long layovers.
Yeah.
And so pop into the city, and we've been watching them rebuild Notre Dame. But I had commented then that sanctuary using that building to and that. Outcasts, and then it was God Save the Outcasts is kind of the connection that I'd made there. So yeah, And then I kept looking for the gargoyles to sing, and they don't sing. Turns out,
right? So, turns out,
total jip. Maybe they start singing once they reopened. Okay, so anyways, 1 Kings chapter 14.
And by the way, I was looking for all the right answers on that quiz.
Yes,
and it turns out that Ahijah has the right answers for Jeroboam.
Unbelievably right answers.
Yes.
This is really amazing. Okay, so you got to remember now the kingdom is divided. There's the north, that's the 10 tribes, and then there's the south, Judah, the 2 tribes.
I've been doing pretty good.
You're doing pretty great this week. Yes, way better than me. I'm just not with it this week.
Sorry, go back to the real stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the southern tribes, Judah and Benjamin, are divided from the northern tribes, the other 10 tribes of Israel.
And by the way, Judah is very large. It's the biggest one, right?
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, by far. Yeah. And so when it sounds like, it's only 2 versus the 10, just understand.
It's like a 60-40 split.
Yeah, 60-40 split. Yep.
Yeah.
Meaning that the 60 is with the 10.
Yes, with the 10. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it says, at that time, Jeroboam's son Abijah became very sick. So Jeroboam told his wife, disguise yourself so that no one will recognize you as my wife, and then go to the prophet Abijah and Ahijah. We also have Jeroboam and Rehoboam, remember?
That literally makes me angry.
Yeah.
It makes me angry.
Right. So these names are close. You have to pay close attention. So Abijah is sick. And Jeroboam tells his wife, disguise yourself so that no one will recognize you as my wife, and then go to the prophet Ahijah at Shiloh, the man who told me I would become king. Take him a gift of 10 loaves of bread, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and ask him what will happen to the boy. So Jeroboam's wife went to Ahijah's home in Shiloh. He was an old man now and could no longer see. But the Lord had told Ahijah, Jeroboam's wife will come here pretending to be someone else, and she'll ask you about her son, for he is very sick. Give her the answer I give you.
Wow.
So when Ahijah heard her footsteps at the door, he called out, come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why are you pretending to be someone else? And then he told her, I have bad news for you. Give your husband Jeroboam this message from the Lord, the God of Israel. I promoted you from the ranks of the common people and made you rule over my people Israel. I ripped the kingdom away from the family of David and gave it to you, but you have not been like my servant David, who obeyed my commands and followed me with all his heart and always did whatever I wanted. You have done more evil than all who lived before you.
Holy Christmas.
You have made other gods for yourself and have made me furious with your gold calves. And since you've turned your back on me, I will bring disaster on your dynasty and will destroy every one of your male descendants, slave and free alike, anywhere in Israel. I will burn up your royal dynasty as one burns up trash until it's all gone. The members of Jeroboam's family who die in the city will be eaten by dogs, and those who die in the field will be eaten by vultures. I, the Lord, have spoken. Whew.
Wow.
Then Ahijah said to Jeroboam's wife, go on home, and when you enter the city, the child will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He is the only member of your family who will have a proper burial. For this child is the only good thing that the Lord, the God of Israel, sees in the entire family of Jeroboam. In addition, the Lord will raise up a king over Israel who will destroy the family of Jeroboam, and this will happen today, even now. Then the Lord will shake Israel like a reed whipped about in a stream. He will uproot the people of Israel from this good land that he gave their ancestors and will scatter them beyond the Euphrates River, for they have angered the Lord with the Asherah poles they have set up for worship. He will abandon Israel because Jeroboam sinned and made Israel sin along with him. So Jeroboam's wife returned to Tirzah, and the child died just as she walked through the door of her home. And all Israel buried him and mourned for him, as the Lord had promised through the prophet Ahijah.
Yikes. This
Not messing around.
This is definitely consequences.
Yeah.
Paying the fiddler.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, so do you remember when Ahijah originally came to Jeroboam, he said, listen, if you do the right thing, like David did, I'll establish your family forever. God literally is offering him the kingdom. And not only that, your descendants and your descendants after them will rule if you just follow God like David followed God. David wasn't perfect, right? We talked about that in the previous things. This guy had a temper. He was tempted sometimes, but his heart was to lead his people to keep following God. Hey, I'm not perfect at this, but let's keep pursuing God. Let's keep chasing God. Let's build a temple for God. Let's increase our commitment to God. Let's depend on God more. And so God said, listen, Jeroboam, if you will follow me like David followed me, I will establish your kingdom forever. Yeah. And now God's saying, I gave up on you, Jeroboam. You're never going to do it. You're never. As a matter of fact, you've done more wicked than anybody else who's come before you.
Yeah, anybody else who's come before you. Did he mean combined? Because I'm telling you what, that is an unbelievable statement.
You have done more evil than all who lived before
you. See, that to me feels like combined. Or you just mean you read it as everyone, right?
Well, I'm reading it that all the other kings.
All the other kings. Okay, yeah, that could be true.
Yeah, which wasn't very many. It was Saul. Saul was wicked.
Saul, David, Solomon.
David did wickedness, but was pursuing God and kept repenting. Solomon started off good and then started building temples for his wives, but he was blending kind of this worship with God and Asherah and Ashtaroth and Baal and Molech, right? And then now Jeroboam has thrown it all off and created his own gods and thrown off God completely. And God says, so you're the worst of all of them so far.
Yeah. Yeah, and holy cow. So, again, it's just one of these things where when you get bad news, you have to accept both good and bad from God. So, didn't Job say that, right? Yep. I'm going to accept good and not accept bad. And, in this case, there's a justness to it. Right, so God is just, and this is a very harsh penalty, but it's just the just execution of consequences.
Well, it shouldn't be a surprise, though.
Right.
Yeah. Because God literally said, when we read at the end of Deuteronomy, Moses is giving the law, and he's reminding them again, because the law's already been established, 40 years before, or 80 years before, whatever it was, 40 years. The law was already established, but Moses, before he dies, gets back up in front of the people and restates it all again. So I don't want you to forget. You need to train your children when you're walking by the way, when you're standing when you're sitting at breakfast, when you're lying down at night. It needs to be all over your house. Keep teaching your children the right thing. And then he says, listen, I'm giving you a choice between life and death, between blessing and cursing. So the blessing isn't because of you, it's because of God. And the cursing isn't because of you, it's because of God. But both of those are a choice. So you can choose God's favor, choose life, choose blessing, or you can go against God, and then you're choosing the curse and death. This is exactly the same thing he did for Jeroboam. It's not that God's unfair. It's that the roosters are coming, or that the chickens are coming home to roost. You made your choice. I gave you the choice. If you remember, are the people who've been listening for a while, you remember we go back to the Jeroboam thing? He said, I'm giving you a choice today. And now here we are late in his rule, and God goes, you chose the wrong way. It's not like it was confusing. Keep worshiping me. That's all you have to do. And instead, what did you do? You went and made golden calves and led people to worship your golden calves. That's not a very confusing thing. It's not confusing. It's not like, oops, I accidentally made a couple of golden calves and began sacrificing for them.
Right.
That's not what he did. This isn't an oops. This is a full-on rebellion. I don't care about you.
Well, in yesterday's podcast, we talked about the old man and the prophet, right?
Yeah.
And so here it says that the man of God came, warned him, did a miracle in front of him.
Yeah.
But with the altar miraculously splitting in two and the ashes going on the ground.
And his hand healing.
And his hand getting frozen. And so what does he do? He begs the prophet, pray to your God that my hand will be restored. He gets it restored, so God shows him mercy, just in that one simple thing.
Right.
And then what does it say? It says, he did not choose to turn from his ways.
Right.
He continued.
Right.
He continued. So it's like, God will give us warning. God will reach out. God will give us chances.
Yeah.
Right? It's not as if God doesn't love us. It's not as if God isn't patient with us, that God gives us, he gives us opportunity over and over to repent, to turn back to him, to make things right, to make the right choices. And I don't really know too many situations where somebody makes a mistake and immediately, there's this massive judgment. When they're, in today's day and age, we make choices, we live in those choices. I think that God gives us opportunity after opportunity, day after day. And usually when things come crashing down, it isn't in a moment's notice. It's after a long period of time.
Right. I have had a sense God does keep some people on short leashes. Mm-hmm. I've had that sense in my life that I see other people get away with stuff for a long time. And when I was a young person, I tried to get away with something. I felt like I got caught like the first time. Over and over and over again, it was that way. So I do think he keeps some people on short leashes, but for the most part, the Bible says his mercy endures forever. He's constantly extending forgiveness. He's constantly he says in Peter that he's being patient for your sake. He's not moving slowly. He's just being patient for our sakes. But with Jeroboam, he's able to look into Jeroboam's life and saying, Jeroboam's never turning back. He's gone past the point of return, right? So I think that there was God held out during this time. I think he sent the prophet to him earlier because I think Jeroboam still had an opportunity to choose. But then, like you said, he chose not to. And now he's past the point of no return. And God goes, well, I'm done with you. I can't. You're never going to change. So we're done. And it's going to hurt. Right? Yeah. But this is all that God had said was going to happen at the beginning.
Yeah.
God had said this is the beginning. Dude, you can have the kingdom forever.
Right.
If you just follow me. So just understand, this isn't, if you only read this story by itself, it goes like, wow, God's kind of mean. But when you look at the fact that he had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and he was a nobody, he was a supervisor for building the temple. Mm-hmm. That was his job. And Solomon was like, this young guy's pretty sharp. Jeroboam's a sharp guy. I should put him in charge of more stuff. And then God sends Ahijah to say, hey, Jeroboam, as a matter of fact, God's going to put you in charge of the whole kingdom. Right? 10 of the tribes. So he was just a worker, and God elevates him to king. And then suddenly and God says, the one condition is keep following me. And over a lifetime, he rejected God. And the pain of rejecting God, it's always going to hurt. It's always going to hurt. So, yeah, anyways, it's a sad thing for me, but at the same time, it's not unjust, right? Yeah. God's doing the right thing and is doing the just thing.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of pagan worship here. He says he angered the Lord with the Asherah poles that he had set up for worship, in addition to the golden calves, right? Yeah. And the Asherah poles, a lot of scholars believe those were phallic symbols. Yeah. Because it was a sexual god, yep. and so it's just there's this. I mean, it's just weird and distorted, and you can even imagine it's just all over the place, and so it's no wonder why God's anger is coming down in the most fierce way. And what he's really saying is he's saying like he's not going to handle blasphemy.
Right.
He's not going to handle. It's one thing to, like King David. King David, he definitely had his faults, right? He was a bad parent.
Sure. He indulged the flesh.
Yeah, he indulged the flesh. He did all that. But can you remember a single time in David's life where he did any type of false worship?
No.
Idol worship?
No, never.
Ever. Right? So he strayed from behaviors, just like we talked about.
He had bad days, but his heart was chasing after God.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why, God categorized them and even spoke about him and said, you are not like, through his prophet, said, you are not like my father, your father David, who always did whatever I wanted and always worshiped me.
Right.
So how does he talk about David? He talks about David as this man who always did all those things. He's not mentioning David's little sins.
Right.
He's not mentioning, the bad days or the big mistakes that David made in his life, because David overall tried his very best in his, he didn't do it perfectly to worship God. So I think that the blasphemy part, there's just a line that's going to be drawn here, and so God says that's it. And by the way, what an unbelievable punishment. So
C.S. Lewis, he wrote a book called The Problem with Pain. Right? Did you ever read that one?
Mm-mm.
So you ever read Mere Christianity?
Yes.
Yeah. So Mere Christianity is one of my favorite books, and as with any theologian, I don't agree with every word every theologian writes, but I really like his thinking in Mere Christianity. Well, then he wrote a book talking about the problem of pain, and he talks about what feels like the unjustness of pain. Life is already hard, and then pain comes along, or whatever. And in it, he makes that famous statement, and I don't remember the beginning of it. I don't remember exactly, so I'll summarize the beginning of it, but then the ending is consistent. He basically says that God whispers to us in our pleasures and in the good moments of life, but he shouts at us in our pain. And so sometimes it's those painful moments, those difficult confrontations. As king, you know this. You're a powerful person, and you're an influential person.
I think the quote is, he whispers in our pleasures.
He whispers in our pleasures.
Yep.
And he shouts to us in our pain.
Yep.
But you're a leader. You have influence. You have a certain amount of power over some people. One of the more difficult things, one of the more painful things for an influential leader is to be confronted, right? That's a hard thing.
Yeah.
To be confronted and go, okay, I've got to make some changes. And so God gave him that opportunity. That pain that came from that prophet, that man of God, should have been enough. Right. Hey, look I cracked your altar. You're exposed. This is fake, and I'm the real God. Right. And I froze your hand. I proved that. I humbled you. You had to ask for my help, and then finally, I took care of you. And you continue to rebel against me.
And by the way, I did this publicly.
Yes,
I did this publicly.
You're embarrassed.
So everybody knows.
Yes. Right. That your gods are false and that I'm the real God. And so God shouts to us in our pain, and then sometimes we don't listen. And when we don't listen, everything falls down around, everything burns down around us. But when God is shouting to us in our initial pain, we have a choice either to run to him or from him. I was talking with a family who's going through some sad things right now. And I said, all the young people in the room, I said, listen, in this moment, you have an opportunity to blame God or run to God. Right? Those are your only two choices.
Right.
So when you're in the middle of pain, in your pain, you either run to him or from him. And God says he is near to the brokenhearted. He says, cast all your cares on me because I care for you. You can trust God with your pain. And it's not always that God's causing the pain, but God will use pain to get your attention, pull you back. So when you run to him, then this is that where he offers this life of blessing or cursing. He's offering life or death. And so when you run to God, he will give you the good side of that. That's what he promises. It was the promise Jeroboam always had, and he just threw it away. And then God tried to rattle his cage a little bit with a little bit of shame and embarrassment and pain. He didn't turn as God goes, okay, this is going to hurt. Yep. And it did, right? So God's justice is poured out on him publicly. And the reason why God's pouring out his justice publicly on this king is because this king's whole life is public. He is the representative of the nation. God's not pouring out this kind of justice on some little widow lady living down the street. It's on the king, who's the representative of all the people.
Right.
And you had all the benefits of being the king. Now you have the consequence of being the king. And he's trying now through the pain of the king to get the attention of the rest of the people. Now, you and I know they don't turn back to God either. So there's a problem here.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. Well, hey, that's our time for today. And so we will see you next time as we pick up tomorrow on the Bible Guys.